Washington, D.C., a city famous for its monuments, history, and politics. But recently, it's found itself at the center of a heated controversy over rising crime and federal authority. President Donald Trump has escalated his rhetoric, calling the nation's capital totally out of control and threatening to send federal forces to intervene. But is the city really spiraling into chaos? Or is this just another political storm? The heart of the nation, Washington, D.C., is a city that embodies power, history, and hope. But behind its iconic monuments and polished corridors of government, a storm has been quietly brewing, one that threatens to unravel the very fabric of its communities. For decades, stories of crime and struggle have clung to the city's reputation. Headlines shouted of violence, homelessness, and chaos, painting a picture of a city teetering on the edge. But beneath those headlines lies a more complex reality. In recent years, crime statistics reveal a surprising truth. Violent crime in Washington, D.C. has dropped to its lowest point in over 30 years. Neighborhoods once seen as dangerous are now showing signs of renewal and hope. Community programs and policing reforms have helped shift the tide, bringing safety back to many streets. Yet, despite these positive changes, the city has found itself in the crosshairs of a fierce political battle. President Donald Trump, with his unrelenting style, has cast Washington, D.C. as a city totally out of control. In fiery speeches and sharp tweets, he has called out local leaders, blaming them for a surge in violence and homelessness. But the question remains, is this an accurate reflection of reality or a political narrative designed to stir controversy? To understand what's really happening, we need to look deeper past the headlines and political soundbites and uncover the true story of Washington, D.C.'s fight against crime. It wasn't long before President Trump's words echoed through the nation's capital, turning a spotlight on Washington, D.C. with sharp intensity. In his characteristic boldness, Trump declared the city totally out of control. His statements were unambiguous and forceful, accusing local officials of failing to manage a crisis of crime and homelessness that, according to him, was spiraling beyond control. "The city is a mess," Trump told reporters, framing the issue as a catastrophic failure of leadership. "We're going to have to step in. If they won't do the job, the federal government will." He didn't stop there. In speeches and social media posts, Trump painted vivid images of chaotic streets overrun by violence and despair. His calls for federal intervention hinted at sending in federal law enforcement agents to crack down hard on crime. To his supporters, this was a promise to restore order and safety. To his critics, it was a politically charged move designed to stoke fear and frustration, especially as election season loomed. But how do these claims stand up to the facts? Are the streets of Washington truly a battleground, or is his rhetoric part of a larger political strategy? As President Trump's words rippled through the city, Washington, D.C.'s leaders were quick to respond not with silence, but with firm pushback. Mayor Muriel Bowser, the city's top official and a fierce advocate for her community, stepped forward to challenge a narrative. She acknowledged the challenges the city faces. No city is without problems, but she firmly rejected the idea that Washington was descending into chaos. "Our city is not out of control," Bowser declared in a press conference, her voice steady and resolute. She pointed to the steady decline in violent crime and highlighted the efforts underway to address homelessness with compassion and practical solutions. Local police leaders echoed this sentiment. They spoke of the delicate balance between maintaining safety and respecting the rights of residents, emphasizing community policing strategies that build trust rather than tear it down. Yet, beneath the calm reassurances, many city residents felt the sting of uncertainty. They saw a city striving to heal, yet caught in the crossfire of national politics. Would federal intervention mean more resources and safety, or would it bring an unwelcome wave of heavy-handed tactics and tension? In the tug-of-war between local control and federal authority, Washington, D.C. found itself facing a new kind of battle, one fought not with guns, but with words, power, and the very future of its governance. In the midst of heated debates and political posturing, there's one place where truth often reveals itself quietly in the numbers. The latest crime data from Washington, D.C. tells a story that might surprise many. Over the past decade, violent crime in the city has steadily declined, reaching levels unseen in 30 years. Homicides, assaults, and robberies, once alarmingly high, have dropped significantly. Neighborhoods that were once marked by fear and neglect now show signs of renewal, with families moving back and businesses opening their doors. Crime analysts and experts pore over these statistics, trying to understand the factors behind this positive trend. Community policing, increased social services, and targeted intervention programs have all played their part. But despite this clear evidence, the image of a city drowning in crime persists in political rhetoric. Why does this disconnect exist? Perhaps it's because numbers can't always capture the lived experience, the fear of a single violent incident, the frustration of slow progress, or the political motivations driving certain narratives. Still, the data stands as a reminder. Washington, D.C. is far from the lawless battleground some claim it to be. With tensions mounting, many wonder, why is the spotlight on Washington, D.C.'s crime situation flared so brightly and so suddenly? The answer lies as much in politics as it does in public safety. In the charged atmosphere of an approaching election season, crime has become a powerful political tool. For some, it's a rallying cry, a way to tap into public fears and frustrations about safety, order, and governance. President Trump's sharp focus on Washington, D.C. reflects this strategy. The city is not just the nation's capital. It's a symbolic battleground. By portraying D.C. as out of control, he positions himself and his supporters as defenders of law and order, promising decisive action where local leaders are seen as failing. Political commentators note that this kind of rhetoric resonates with certain voter bases who prioritize safety and desire strong leadership. At the same time, opponents argue that this approach oversimplifies complex social issues, weaponizing crime statistics for political gain and potentially undermining community efforts. Behind the headlines and sound bites lies a delicate dance, one where crime, politics, and power intertwine, shaping not just policy, but the very narrative of a city struggling to define its future. The idea of federal intervention in Washington, D.C. sends ripples of uncertainty through the city's neighborhoods. What does it really mean to have federal forces step in? The thought conjures images of heavily armed agents, a surge of government authority, and the imposing presence of the National Guard on city streets. Federal agencies like the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, or even specialized tactical units could be deployed to assist local law enforcement. Their mission: to crack down on crime swiftly and decisively. But history offers cautionary tales. Previous federal interventions in American cities have often ignited protests, sparked concerns about civil liberties, and deepened divides between residents and authorities. For some D.C. residents, increased federal presence could mean a renewed sense of safety and order relief after years of struggle. For others, it raises fears of militarization, a loss of local control, and erosion of community trust. The question hangs in the air: will federal intervention be a force for peace or a catalyst for conflict? In the bustling streets, quiet neighborhoods, and community centers of Washington, D.C., the voices of everyday residents offer a window into the real impact of this unfolding drama. Some residents welcome any action that promises to make their streets safer. For them, the fear of crime is real and immediate, and they hope federal involvement could bring quicker results. Yet others are deeply wary. Memories of heavy-handed policing and past federal crackdowns stir concerns about civil liberties and the potential for increased tensions between law enforcement and communities. Parents worry about the message being sent to their children. Activists speak out against what they see as an overreach, a threat to the city's hard-won progress toward community-driven solutions. This mosaic of perspectives highlights the complex reality beneath the headlines: a city grappling with safety, justice, and identity. As the sun sets behind the monuments and government buildings, Washington, D.C. stands at a crossroads, a city caught between progress and political upheaval. On one side are the steady signs of improvement: declining crime rates, community programs rebuilding trust, and leaders striving to heal neighborhoods. On the other, the rising tensions of national politics and the looming threat of federal intervention that could reshape the city's future. This isn't just a story about crime statistics or policy debates. It's a story about a community's fight to define its own destiny amid competing voices and visions. Will Washington, D.C. find a path forward that balances safety, justice, and local autonomy? Or will the storm of rhetoric and power struggles deepen the divides? The answer will shape not only the nation's capital, but also set a precedent for cities across America. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Should federal forces intervene in Washington, D.C.? Or should local leaders be given the space to continue their work? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the stories shaping America. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.